Mansions are getting bigger and bigger. Today, we'll take a look at a home worth over $2 billion. We'll look at an estate the size of a small country. Here are the top 15 largest mansions in the world. Number 15. Biltmore Estate. Built between 1889 and 1895 for George Washington Vanderbilt II, whose family made their fortune through various transport businesses such as railroads and steamboats. Biltmore Estate is currently the largest privately owned house in the U.S. It's in Asheville, North Carolina, and is surrounded by 125,000 acres of land. But it's the 179,000 square foot building that's most impressive. There's more than 4 acres of total floor space across 250 rooms. There are 35 bedrooms, 43 bathrooms, 3 kitchens, and countless features of 19th century design, including its Otis elevator, centrally controlled clocks, and call bell system. There are 65 lavish fireplaces throughout the rooms, and the central attraction is the banquet hall that's 42 by 72 feet. It has an amazing 70-foot-high barrel vaulted ceiling, has a table that can seat 64 guests, and at one end is an original 1916 Skinner pipe organ. Also featuring a bachelor's wing with a smoking room and a gun room, a massive 70,000-gallon swimming pool in the basement, alongside a bowling alley and a gym. This is truly a spectacular building, and it's so big it requires its own dedicated railway, an on-site brick factory to provide the materials needed for construction. Quite what the value of Biltmore would be today is unknown, but it's most likely in the billions thanks to its sheer size and historical importance. Number 14. 924 Bel Air Road. If you have cash to burn and want to live in the most luxurious modern home in the world, then 924 Bel Air Road is the place of your dreams. It was initially on the market for a whopping $250 million, but finally sold in late 2019 for $94 million to an unknown buyer who secured a $58 million mortgage to complete the purchase. It was definitely money well spent, however, because this mansion comes with everything you could ever possibly want. The 38,000 square foot residence has 17,000 square feet dedicated to entertainment and features 10 VIP guest suites, 21 bathrooms, 3 gourmet kitchens, 5 bars, a massage and wellness studio, a gym, and an 85-foot glass-bottom infinity pool. If that's not enough, there's also a 40-seat theater, a bowling alley, an auto garage, 100 art installations, an outdoor pop-up theater, 2 wine cellars, and even a candy wall. To top it off, the mansion also has a non-functioning helicopter that was used in the TV show Airwolf to ensure that the place is one of a kind. Aptly named Billionaire, the house is in the Bel Air enclave with views across the LA skyline, the mountains, and the ocean, and is undoubtedly the most lavish mansion to have ever been sold in the U.S. Number 13. Taoyuan. Taoyuan, which means Utopia, is the most expensive mansion in China, and it's truly a stunning property. Located on an island in the middle of Dushu Lake in Shuzhou, it recently sold for a price of $154 million after taking 3 years to build. Across its more than 72,400 square feet of floor space, there are 32 bedrooms and bathrooms, all of which have been oriented in a southerly direction, so they benefit from natural light and views over the nearby lake, and the whole place has been decorated with traditional Chinese architecture. There are hundreds of artworks, a walk-in cellar, an infinity-edge pool, and 1.6 acres of perfectly manicured gardens that's bordered with canals, bridges, and trees. It's part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and having been designed with the principles of Feng Shui, is virtually exactly what you'd expect from a Chinese mega mansion. Number 12. Villa Leopolda. Nestled within 18 acres of land in the French Riviera, Villa Leopolda was built between 1919 and 1931. Made up of 2 guest houses around the main structure, access to the various floors and rooms is via a series of external staircases, and there are a number of sporting courts, a huge swimming pool, and landscape gardens that require a full-time staff of 50 gardeners to maintain. Inside there's 19 bedrooms, each of which has an ensuite bathroom and an outdoor terrace, several kitchens, a movie theater, a bowling alley, and 3 dining rooms. There's more than 80,000 square feet of floor space in the building itself, and it's the epitome of luxury. Villa Leopolda is currently owned by Lily Safra, who reportedly paid $750 million for it, and it's most likely only gone up in value since then. There have been new rumors that it's since changed hands, with Bill Gates being mentioned as one of the potential new owners, and he's often seen visiting the palatial home, but he's yet to confirm or deny whether this is true. In 2008, a Russian billionaire was in advanced stages to buy the mansion, but after pulling out because he couldn't afford to go through with it, he lost his deposit of more than $35 million. Number 11. Pensmore. There are countless examples of doomsday preppers who spend whatever they can on upgrading their homes to prepare for the end of the world. But there's one place in the Ozark Mountains near Highlandville, Missouri that takes things to a whole new level. Known as Pensmore, the mansion was designed and built by Stephen T. Huff, who previously worked for NASA and the CIA, and features he's put in place are unlike anything found in any other home. The 72,000 square foot property has 13 bedrooms, 14 bathrooms, and has gone under several redesigns since construction began, meaning it's not yet fully finished. Concerned about unpredictable events, Huff ensured that the structure has 12-inch thick exterior walls, and it's said to be resistant to even the most powerful tornadoes, hurricanes, and earthquakes. In an interview, he said that when it's complete, the building should be sturdy enough to stand for 2,000 years, as it's also resistant to fire, bug-resistant, bulletproof, and bomb-proof. He chose the location because of the relatively few regulations he had to adhere to, and is thought to be using as a proof of concept to test new technologies that can be incorporated into mansion designs of the future. There are also a number of rumors swirling about Pensmore, particularly because of his links with the CIA, with some believing it's intended to be a backup location for the president in times of emergency, and some suggestions that there are a secret underground railroad to grant access to it without people on the surface knowing who's coming or going. Number 10. Casa Encantada. Casa Encantada in Bel Air, California was put on the market in October of 2019 for $225 million, which at the time made it the most expensive property for sale in the US, amid interest from billionaires like Jeff Bezos. But what makes this mansion so special? It was built in the 1930s for the widow of a glass bottle manufacturer, and no expense was spared in making this a luxurious Georgian-inspired property. Built in an H shape, it has 60 rooms that offer a variety of views across the surrounding landscape, a reception hall with 18-foot ceilings, a dining room, card room, indoor bar, and several living rooms. As you'd expect from a Bel Air mansion, it also has a pool house with another bar and a private screening room, and a tennis court, basketball court, rose garden, greenhouse, and koi ponds. The property, which was once owned by Conrad Hilton, has more than $35 million worth of internal furnishings, 8 acres of land, and every time it's been sold in the past has set the record for the costliest mansion in the US, something that seems fitting for the richest man in the world. Number 9. Fairfield Pond. The Hamptons on Long Island are renowned as the playground of the rich and famous, but while the area is full of lavish mansions that most of us would only dream of being able to afford, there's one property that stands out above the rest: Fairfield Pond. Built at a cost of $110 million in 1990, it's owned by a controversial billionaire Ira Rennert, and is thought to be worth upwards of $500 million today. Set within 63 acres of valuable Hamptons beachfront land, the 62,000 square foot mansion covers more than an acre and a half of floor space inside it. As well as the giant main house, there's also a playhouse and not one, but 2 pool houses, which adds a further 40,000 square feet of interior space. But that's just the beginning of the extravagance on show here. There's an estimated 21 bedrooms and 18 bathrooms, 12 chimneys that would suggest there are 12 large fireplaces, and a 91-foot-long dining room. It has a basketball court, 2 bowling alleys, a billiards room, 2 tennis courts, and a squash court, as well as a 164-seat screening room, a garage that can fit 100 cars, and a $150,000 hot tub. The home is so valuable that Rennert's annual tax bill for this property alone is estimated at around $650,000, which would be enough to buy 2 normal houses virtually anywhere else in the country. We are constantly adding more people to the Top 5's production team to bring you all the best content. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on and hit the like button. Number 8. Gemini. On the island of Manalapan to the south of Palm Beach, Florida, is one of the most expensive and largest mega mansions in America, called Gemini. It was put on the market in 2017 for an eye-watering $195 million, and even though it failed to sell, that doesn't make it any less impressive. The family that currently owns it bought the 62,000 square foot property in the 1980s and have since completely rebuilt the main house and added a botanical garden that contains more than 1,500 different species of plants and trees. For times when the 21 bedrooms aren't enough, Gemini also comes with a 7-bedroom guest house, 2 cottages, and an apartment block for staff, all of which are accessible via an underground tunnel to the other side of the island. Set across 16.6 acres of land, there's a putting green, a large pool, a giant children's treehouse, a dock for a boat, a basketball court, and plenty more. Inside, there's several dining and lounge rooms, a media room, 3 libraries, offices, a large number of terraces, 2 elevators, and a huge wine cellar. The island it's on benefits from its own microclimate that sees much warmer temperatures than the surrounding areas, making Gemini a truly tropical mansion within the borders of the U.S. Number 7. The Pritzker Estate. Built between 2005 and 2011 for billionaire Anthony Pritzker, the Pritzker Estate at 1261 Angelo Drive in L.A. is one of the largest private residences in the city. Pritzker is one of the heirs to the Hyatt Hotel empire, and because of the construction of his new home didn't exactly go down well with his neighbors, it's often referred to as the Grand Hyatt Bel Air. The main structure covers an area of 49,000 square feet, but there's also a large guest house, a pool house, and a residence for the staff that work on the property. There are 2 basement levels to the house that contains a game room, a bowling alley, an entertainment foyer with a bar, and offices. While on the levels above ground, there's a library, a gym, a spa, a beauty salon, a kitchen that's larger than you'll find in most restaurants, and a giant swimming pool. There's also a tennis court and 2 parking garages, one that's a 60-car parking lot to one side of the property and another that's more secretive and is underground. The entire property is heated and cooled by geothermal systems, and with climate control, countless solar panels, and energy-efficient lighting, at least some attempt has been made to reduce the property's footprint. Number 6. Modern Versailles. It can take a long time to build a mega mansion, and owners will often have to wait several years until their new home is ready to move into. But perhaps the most delayed project of all is known as Modern Versailles, and despite beginning more than 15 years ago, it's still yet to be completed. This is partly because following the recession in 2008, the owners found themselves low on funds to continue with it, and also because it's proved to be so complicated to construct. Based upon the Palace of Versailles in France, but being built in Windermere, Florida, it will eventually become the home of the Siegel family, who made their fortune selling timeshares. The first step was to create a man-made hill on 10 acres of lakefront land, and then the foundations were laid for what will be an 85,000 square foot mansion. There will be 11 kitchens, 14 bedrooms, 3 indoor pools, 2 outdoor pools, a video arcade, and a ballroom with a capacity for up to 1,000 guests. There will also be a 2-story movie theater, a huge tropical fish aquarium, 2 tennis courts, a huge garden, and even an elevator that leads from the master bedroom to the closet. With everything based on the design of the actual Versailles Palace, the materials used to build the mansion don't come cheap. The wood, for example, is some of the last legal Brazilian mahogany that cost $4 million, and an astonishing amount of marble had to be imported too. When finished, it'll be one of the biggest and most valuable mansions in America, but even in its unfinished state, it dwarfs virtually every other property. Number 5. Mesa Vista Ranch. Boone Pickens was an oil magnate who chaired a hedge fund that aggressively took over and raided companies in the 1980s and made huge amounts of money in the process. Of all things he used his wealth to buy, his real pride and joy was the Mesa Vista Ranch, which is within a 100-square-mile piece of land in Texas. The main building itself spans more than 30,000 square feet, has carved wood paneling throughout, a dining room that seats 40 people, and a 30-seat home theater that has an adjoining popcorn room. The walls are covered in expensive art, and there are countless chandeliers hanging from the ceilings. And there's guest quarters, VIP suites, a British-style pub, and a health fitness center. Elsewhere, there's an 11,000-square-foot lake house that's surrounded by water that's provided by an aqueduct. And Boone was such a fan of hunting that there's a 2-story kennel where the 40 hunting dogs are kept. While you might expect to see many of the amenities at the ranch at other mansions too, there's one thing that you'd be hard-pressed to find anywhere else: its own airport. The 6,000-foot runway and small terminal building mean that residents and guests can fly in and out whenever they need. And there are fire trucks on hand in case there's a problem, and a fleet of vehicles to drive people to the main part of the ranch and back again. Another surprising structure on the ranch is a small white-framed house, and this was Boone's childhood home. His 4th wife bought it, had it disassembled and rebuilt on the ranch as a gift to him, something that he said gave him peace and tranquility in his hectic life. Number 4. The Bubble Palace. There are definitely some ghastly mansions in the world where owners have gone a little too far in the design, but there's no denying that building a multi-million-dollar home certainly gives you the opportunity to experiment with artistic styles. Without a doubt, the most unusual mansion in the world, however, is the Bubble Palace near Cannes in France, and was built between 1975 and 1989 before being bought by the fashion designer Pierre Cardin. Covering an area of around 13,000 square feet, there are 10 bedrooms, a reception hall, and a panoramic lounge, all of which are decorated with works by renowned artists and are in an unmistakable bubble shape. Elsewhere on the site, there's a series of swimming pools and waterfalls, a 500-seat amphitheater that looks out across the Mediterranean Sea that doubles as a helipad, and plenty more. It's the most surprising and garish mansion on Earth, looking more at home on an alien planet, but it's so unique that it has an equally astonishing price tag, somewhere in the region of $400 to $500 million. Number 3. 28A Rutland Gate. While it's relatively easy to build a large mansion in the countryside where there's lots of land to spare, it's a far more difficult prospect to acquire a gigantic home in the center of a city, particularly one that's historic and highly sought after, which is something that makes London's 28A Rutland Gate all the more impressive. The mansion, which was bought by a Chinese businessman at the beginning of 2020 for more than $262 million, overlooks Hyde Park in central London and is by far the most expensive house to have sold in the country. Built on prime real estate, it was once 4 separate homes before they were all combined, and the resulting mansion is simply unbelievable. Covering 62,000 square feet, the 7-story home has 45 rooms, including several grand staterooms, 20 bedrooms, a basement swimming pool, a health spa and gym, an underground parking garage, a separate wing for staff, and several elevators for guests to access the higher floors. The interior was conceived by French designer Alberto Pinto and includes ornate chandeliers, jewel-encrusted bidets, and even 24-karat gold-plated waste bins. There's more floor space in the mansion than the surface of a football pitch, and if property prices in the city keep going in the same direction, this could soon become one of the most valuable private houses in the world. Number 2. The One. Since 2013, former movie producer Niall Niami has been working on a new project that, if all goes right, will set the record for the most expensive home to have ever been sold in the U.S., known as The One. It's on a prime piece of land in Bel Air, California, and is as futuristic as any mansion you'll ever see. With a floor space of just over 100,000 square feet, The One has 20 bedrooms, 30 bathrooms, 5 swimming pools, a parking garage for 30 cars, a bowling alley, and the obligatory wine cellar that can hold more than 10,000 bottles. There's also a 36-seat movie theater, 2 grand dining rooms, a fully fitted restaurant-quality kitchen, and most surprisingly of all, its very own nightclub. Some of the walls inside are made from jellyfish tanks. It has its very own moat, and the neighbors just down the street include Jennifer Aniston and Elon Musk. There's also a large casino in the property, and a minimalist design throughout, with marble walls and see-through glass panels. If you stand on the roof, you'll be treated to views out across the Pacific Ocean, the LA skyline, and the tiny mansions that everyone else lives in nearby. And you can't help but look at The One and feel like it resembles a spacecraft that's perched on top of one of California's hilltops. Having to take out a loan of more than $80 million to build it, Niami is hoping that it'll prove to be relatively easy to sell once it's completed. But with an asking price of $500 million, there aren't very many people who can actually afford it. Number 1. Antilia. While not technically a mansion in the traditional sense, Antilia is the largest and most expensive private residential property in the world. It's in Mumbai, India, and is owned by billionaire businessman Mukesh Ambani and his family. And even though it looks out across some of the poorest suburbs anywhere on Earth, it stands as a monument to wealth and excess. The house is 27 stories tall and has more than 400,000 square feet of space inside. There's a car garage with space for 168 vehicles, an 80-seat theater, a spa, a temple, 3 helipads on the roof, and several terrace gardens. Each floor has extra high ceilings. In fact, they're the same height as the stories of a normal building, and has been specifically designed to withstand earthquakes that measure up to a magnitude of 8. The top 6 floors are a completely private full-floor residential area, while the ones lower down are where guests stay and even have their own ice cream parlor. The car garage is actually spread out over the first 6 floors, and to take care of them, the 7th floor has a dedicated car service station. And there's also a snow room where the walls release snowflakes to help keep people cool in the hot Indian summer. Unsurprisingly, the construction of this skyscraper mansion was controversial, and there were a series of lawsuits to try to prevent it from happening. It was finally completed in 2011, though. It currently has an estimated value of just over $2.2 billion, which makes it the most valuable privately owned property in the world. Watch our binge-watching playlist if you'd like to watch all of our most popular top 15 videos. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and get ready to binge.